Today's gospel strikes me as particularly poignant as we enter a new election season and prepare to cast our ballots. Once more, we as citizens are being asked to decide on behalf of all residents of this land. Now, religion, and Christianity in particular, have been regularly brought into the political arena. We are told what Jesus would have done, whom Jesus would have loved, and whom Jesus would have hated. That Jesus chose this or that leader to be his representative in this time and this place. And that those with wealth, power, authority, and influence have been chosen by God. That they have earned and deserve these things. And that those who are poor, homeless, displaced, and powerless have earned their status as well. Or even more pernicious, their humanity is erased completely, and they are other. They are no longer people desperately trying to survive and care for their families, but vermin, trying to chew their way into our homes to attack our children and spread disease. Anyone who speaks up on behalf of people living in poverty, the disenfranchised, single mothers, foster children, refugees, and immigrants, they are naive and a threat. But this is, and always has been, the wisdom of the world. It is the wisdom the book of Job refutes. In that book, from which we take our first reading today, Job is a good and righteous and just man. He is someone that everyone else looks to for wisdom. He takes care of those around him and is a devout Jew. And Job begins the story not quite wealthy, but very well off. If he lived today in Western New York, he would probably have a 5-bedroom house in Clarence in a nice subdivision. But then catastrophe after catastrophe befalls him. He loses everything. His crops, his livestock, his servants, his wife, his home, and his children. Now, the story is meant to be hyperbole. But when you talk to LGBTQ plus youth who have been abandoned by their families, or to refugees fleeing natural disasters and wars around the world, the story of Job is very much the reality that many of them have experienced. Like many of us would, Job tries again and again to rationalize these misfortunes as something that he did wrong and something he could correct. And those around him are convinced that he must have done something. Bad things don't just happen to good people after all. Except they do. Every day they happen. It is a comfortable lie to say that we are immune to these fates just because we live righteous lives. We will never deserve all that we have. We can never truly earn security. Our existence on this plane of reality will always be unpredictable. Our only hope is in the wisdom of our God, the wisdom of love and interdependence. And that is what our first reading reminds us. But that is not the wisdom of this world. And our gospel today makes clear that the wisdom of the world, a wisdom that says that those in power deserve that power and deserve to oppress, to be tyrants over, to lord their power over those they rule, is a wisdom that was a temptation even to those who knew Jesus personally. James and John, two of the greatest leaders of the early church, two men who together with Peter were closest to Jesus, fell into the temptation of seeing leadership as something to aspire to have power, control, and live in comfort. But Jesus, as God on earth, rejects their very premise, saying, "Whoever wishes to become greatest amongst you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first amongst you must be slave to all." As Christians, we are called to seek the servanthood as leaders, and to choose leaders, both religious and secular, who reflect these values. We are called to choose and to be leaders who seek to uplift those that society has forgotten, rather than reward those who already hold the greatest power. And we, as adult citizens in this nation in particular, are called to see our own power and privilege in being adult citizens. We are called to remember that at the ballot box, those who are not able to vote, to see ourselves in them, to love them as ourselves, and to seek their welfare not just in addition to our own, but ahead of it. We are called to seek the wisdom of God and not the wisdom of the world. Amen.